and how I'd help or didn't help and go back and revisit. So reflection is part of the job. Talking, I thought, what have you learned here and how you're going to reflect it back in your action. I know I'm practically running out of time. From health visiting, I went on to become the Assistant Director of Nursing at Greenwich, and then the Director of Nursing. And everybody was quiet. How did you do it? I told you. While at the Department of Health, I went to a conference and met someone who worked there while in Greenwich, and she was telling me about her job and how she was leading on a policy called Health of the Nation. Who remembers that? No? It was one of but it was one of the conservative administration of the time, big policy, the Health of the Nation. Anyway, she invited me to lunch. And I said to my secretary, I've just been invited to lunch, but I don't want you to rush and make an appointment. I don't want her to think I'm impressed. 2 weeks later, I went to lunch, and she told me about what she was doing. I went back to Greenwich and invited her out to spend the day with us to see what we were doing. We were doing good work in Greenwich. One year, I took all the health visiting funding and trained 12 health visitors with 15 different languages between them, so they could talk to their mothers and be in touch rather than show pictures to their mothers. You've got to be creative, you've got to be innovative, you've got to do what you've got to do. The Department of Health invited me to come in for a secondment. I went to see my boss's boss to tell him that I've just been invited to the Department of Health for 6 months to come. And he said, by all means you should go now. And I said, but when I come back, will I have a job? And he said, I don't know, but if I'm here, you will. You like that, but I do it. I then went to my boss as I passed his office. I said, oh, by the way, Peter, I've just been invited to go to the Department of Health for 6 months on a secondment. And Peter said, you can't go. And I said, Bruce says I can. And Peter said, you went to Bruce before you came to me? And I said, strategy there, boys. You understand me? You don't ask permission, you take it. After the first 6 months, I was asked to stay a further 6 months, and at the end of that year, Yvonne Moore, the Chief Nursing Officer of the Department of Health, asked me if I would become her private professional secretary. And of course, being the first black to do it, I said, of course. Don't seek permission, grab it. I worked for very many ministers. We talked, I wrote speeches. I was just saying to my colleague here that phrase in the policy, BME nurses are the backbone of the NHS, that was my coin. And I coined it for Alan Milburn. And every time he said it, if I was in the audience, he would look at me and give me a wink. And I would wink right back. So, I'm nearly finished. But what I want to tell you is that making best use of opportunities isn't something you do on the off chance. You make a decision. I'm going to get A, B, and C from this. And if I don't, I'll ask myself why not. So I want to give you a few takeaway messages in conclusion. I don't need to tell you to seek new knowledge. Old information has its place for context and clarity, but being aware and staying alert remains paramount. New knowledge, what's happening in the now, not in the then, matters. Keep boredom at bay and do not confuse meekness and mildness as the best approach. Sometimes being firm and forthright is the only approach in the corporate jungle. They call it the corporate jungle, not that they couldn't spell long, but it's a jungle, the NHS. Personal presentation and appearance matters, and not just for the interview. Make it a daily routine and dress for the next big change. Okay?
Lifetime ambition.
Understand the power power of succinctness and use pauses effectively. Your kit box of skills must contain must-have skills. These are a must. How to write a report, how to capture a story, how to make good use of references, how to give credit to those who helped you on the way. Yes, my first job as a ward sister every Christmas, guess who got the first drink from me? The porters. All right, and the cleaners. Then I did the nurses. Okay? Give credit to those who do. And don't forget, you make a friend before you need a friend, Esha? Credibility is born from integrity. Ask any politician or any leader. Without credibility, they're not going anywhere fast. When I was at the department, Yvonne Moore, we used to sit at the end of the day to reflect back on what had gone well or what had gone so well. And one day she said to me, Nola, a good example beats 10 pages of rhetoric. Okay? Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Nah, that's a pop song. Not what you should be doing. You need to keep informed. And it's your responsibility to do so. And this responsibility isn't delegated to anybody to keep you updated. Come on. You get out of bed on your own, don't you? Now, a tip. Treat gossip as a behavior that you should really dream of doing. But gathering information is a skill. And it's entirely different. You wouldn't gossip about things, but you're gathering information to inform your next action. And let your history of performance be a template for future performance. You want people to say, she's good, he's good. You want to be able to say, I'm good. And that's not weak, that's known. You need to know when you're good at something and when you need to brush up on it. Remember, mentoring is good, but it's not a metaphor for spoon feeding. Okay? You've got to do the journey in mentoring. People will help you with the map, show you where to go, even tell you what to do sometimes. But you've got to make the best use of the advice and the information. I'll finish with this. I started when I said that I like your program's title, Reach Higher. I thought I'd give you another thought. You need to dig deep as you reach higher. Dig deep for that resilience that will be needed to get to the next point. Don't say she didn't or he didn't. What did you do to make it happen? Dig deep in your resources of knowledge, of character, and strength. You need to push and pull those behind you. I'm finishing. The current Chief Nurse of England tells people that I am the shoulder on which he stands. Good luck to the next Chief Nurse.